Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Trevor Chalobah gets a call-up for the England squad. We have a huge injury update regarding Romeo Lavia and Pedro Neto. Do Chelsea need reliable cover for Moises Caicedo? A striker is pushing for a Chelsea move, and Chelsea approach Como over the signing of Nico Paz. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 15k by the end of the season. You can also use the new YouTube hype feature, which pushes this video out to a bigger audience. Kicking things off, Nico Paz has reported that Trevor Chalobah is set to join up with the England squad to replace Marc Guéhi. Now, first off, congratulations to Trevor Chalobah for an England call-up. That is always going to be the epitome for a lot of players playing for the national side. And unfortunately, Marc Guéhi is injured, which means that Trevor Chalobah was obviously the backup choice. Thomas Tuchel obviously has a history of playing with Chalobah and getting the best out of him. So hopefully he has a good international break and recovers some of his form, because if we're being honest, I don't think he was chosen based on merit of performance this season. He's had some very inconsistent performances, some mistakes at the back, etc. Some his fault, some not. You know, I'm not just going to throw him under the bus. I think a lot of our defenders right now this season have had very hit and miss performances, some more than others. But yeah, Trevor Chalobah has been called up, and I think that's a good opportunity for him to kind of flip his form around. Hopefully he does go and play well. And obviously from a player's perspective, playing for your national team is amazing. But just thought it was worth highlighting. Congratulations to Trev. Hope he really takes advantage of the situation, and hopefully he comes back and has a bit more of a consistent form for Chelsea, because he's going to be playing a vital part of our back line across the season. He's just going for a very tough period right now where things just aren't seeming to go his way with the individual errors or the sending off, which I know was a while ago now. But he just can't seem to get his feet on the ground and can't seem to get a good run of form in a Chelsea shirt, which we know when he is on form, he's a very, very top defender. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this international break will have some positives in the sense that Chalobah can go, get some minutes under Tuchel, get some rhythm, come back to this Chelsea team and be a lot more solid. C.com has reported that Pedro Neto has been released from the national team. He will not be part of the squad under Martinez, a decision jointly made by Chelsea's medical department in the FPF's Health and Performance Directorate due to a physical problem that limits the player. S. Johnson Sport and Miller Cohen at The Athletic have reported that Romeo Lavia is set to miss at least 1 month with a quadricep injury. Injury and fitness issues have limited Lavia to 30 appearances for Chelsea since his £53 million plus £5 million in add-on transfer in 2023. Nico Paz then continues to report the fixtures that Lavia will miss in the next month, and that is Burnley, Barcelona, Arsenal, Leeds, Bournemouth and at Atlanta. 1 month return would be Everton at home. Now this is obviously two players, I want to split it into two. Firstly with Pedro Neto, I think this is actually good news for Chelsea fans, because it's another player like Enzo Fernandez where they're playing through injury, and we're selfish as fans, we want them to be playing their best football for their club, because it's a lot more intense, there's a lot more games and it benefits us directly. However, from the player side, it's always frustrating because they want to be playing for the national side. They want to be competing at the highest level, regardless if it's a friendly, if it's the Nations League, the Euros, the World Cup, whatever it may be. And obviously the South American players with their different international tournaments too. Of course they want to be playing. They want to be playing as many games as possible at the highest level. So it's a good thing that Chelsea's medical department and the FPF's health and safety, whatever it may be, have jointly decided that, it's not worth the stress, it's not worth the aggro. Let him, go away from the national team, go back to his club, rest and recover over the next 2 weeks, and he can be fit and raring to go for this string of very important games, in my opinion. I know we've got a nice mixture there. Champions League games, huge ones like Barcelona and at Atlanta, in my opinion. Huge games in the league. Burnley is a must-win for us. Obviously, you've got Arsenal as well, which is going to be a huge, huge game at the end of the month. Leeds, Bournemouth, all tough games for us to be facing. And we're going to need someone like Pedro Neto fit, ready and available. Now, when it comes to Romeo Lavia, I feel like we go in circles a little bit on this channel when it comes to Lavia in terms of, do we sell him, do we keep him? I personally feel, I think I've made my points very clear in terms of, I think he's an extremely talented player, but it's very, very frustrating knowing that, he's made 30 appearances since his signing in 2023, and it blows my mind. He's never played a full 90 for us. I don't think it's his fault necessarily. He can't help that he's being injured. And I feel like it's been a long road to recovery of all of these little injuries and big injuries that Lavia has faced. And I feel just quite bad for him. I feel a lot of empathy for him because he's such a good player. He's such a talent. And he's still very, very young. We forget that in that window where we bought Lavia, we also bought Caicedo. And we weren't the only team going in for these types of players. We also had Liverpool snapping at the ankles saying, hey, come to us, come to us. And we managed to secure in the same window Caicedo and Lavia. That is an unbelievable acquisition on the surface. how things have played out for Romeo Lavia is we know how good he is when he plays. Even when he does play 45 minutes or 50 minutes or 60 minutes or even pushing it 70 minutes. He never fully makes the 90. He is just so incredibly talented, so incredibly gifted as a footballer. And I know it's a famous phrase at Chelsea, if he can stay fit, he's honestly so integral to how Enzo Maresca plays in his system and how much impact he can have. The calmness on the ball, the way he breaks up the play, the way he can assist that other partner in the pivot. The way he roams around the pitch, his passing range is unbelievable. Such a good player. So I also feel that when Romeo Lavia is out for a month, in Romeo Lavia's timeline, it's more like 3 months. Let's be real. Because he'll pick up something else while he's in recovery and then it'll go on a little bit longer. And that's not me being pessimistic, that's just looking back at his injury record and how things have gone for him in his road to recovery. He comes back, a stiff breeze knocks him over, he's out for a little longer. He's then recovering from that injury, and during recovery, he picks up a different injury. And I'm hoping that this does come to an end. I really, really do, because this is a big batch of games where having someone like Romeo Lavia would be unbelievable, even if he is coming off the bench, even if he is only playing 20 minutes of a first half, 45 minutes of a game. We just know his impact is so, so good. So if he can be back for the Everton game, I'd be all for it, because we were right in the thick of it then at that time with all the fixtures, being around Christmas. But it's just a huge shame that he can't stay fit and he is going to miss some of these really important games, because we have the likes of Caicedo, we're going to talk about in a second. We've got the likes of Asugo, who's still on the road to recovery of his surgery, his injury he had earlier in the season, and he's not coming back to at least January. So it's just, I don't know, is it warning signs? Is it warning signs for basically Caicedo cover? Yes, we've got Andre Santos who can partner Caicedo. You could experiment and play an Andre Santos and Enzo 6 pivot. You could also put Josh Ashampong in the 6. You could put Reece James in the 6. You could even put Gusto in the 6. Hell, that's what Enzo Maresca's been doing recently. We do have options, of course, but nowhere near as strong as having Caicedo, Asugo and Lavia all fit, ready and raring to go, because there is just so much strength in terms of that profile and the players' abilities there, going from Caicedo downwards. I just think is a big unfortunate miss of having Lavia out a little longer. I did say on the live watch along when he actually pulled up with the injury, non-contact injuries just seem to be a lot worse. They just seem to be a lot worse because it's the body's way of saying, nope, I've had enough of whatever it is you're doing at that moment, and it goes, nope, I've got to give way. So hopefully he has a very fast recovery, because again, Romeo Lavia is such a good asset to have when he is fit. But he's also becoming one of those players like Reece James was last year, like Fofana has been in recent times, not so much this season, but last season, etc. Where in not a horrible way, but you kind of have to forget that they're there, because it's the hope that kills you. You kind of have to forget that they're there, and just when they are ready and they are playing, it's a nice surprise. It'd be like, oh, they're back. Great. Hopefully they can stay fit for a long period. Now, we've seen, obviously, the transformation with Reece James. We've seen the transformation with Pedro Neto, because he's been playing so many games consistently for Chelsea. And when we did buy him, he was very injury-prone at Wolves. So I think the medical team are doing their thing over time. Maresca's doing his thing with a rotation and limited minutes. And with Lavia, I feel like he's even more constrained, because Maresca's even come out and said many, many times, we are trying to limit absolutely everything for him to try and build up his fitness, his match fitness, and his body's resilience to be able to play football again. And I kind of feel for Lavia, and I just want him to be able to play football and be a fit footballer, because he is incredible on his day. Kieran Gill has reported that nobody has played more minutes in the Premier League for Chelsea this season than Moises Caicedo, 945 minutes out of the 990 in total. And TNT Sports have reported that no player has made more interceptions than Moises Caicedo, 26, in the Premier League this season, a midfield wall for Chelsea. Now, I backed this onto the Romeo Lavia and Pedro Neto injury update because I feel like it ties in hand. We know how good Moises Caicedo is. He is a brick wall. He just is a brick wall. He's so good, and he's really going up a level, and he's still got more ceilings to break in terms of ability and what he can do on that football pitch, which is unbelievable for us Chelsea fans to witness in front of our own eyes week by week. The reason I bolted this on, and the reason why I had the question at the intro of the video, is do we need to actually source a more reliable cover for Moises Caicedo? Is this something that is not just a knee-jerk reaction, jumping the gun, rushing it, going January's coming up, more like a long-term thing? Is this a genuine question that the club have to look at and go, right, Caicedo played pretty much every minute last year that he was available for. He's played everything but 45 minutes this season, and he had to play that because Romeo Lavia got injured within the first 4 minutes of the game, bringing on Moises Caicedo to play more minutes. And even in the Premier League, we rest him for a half. Like, he is playing every minute possible. This was meant to be the season that Caicedo got that well-deserved rest because we had the likes of Asugo, we have the likes of Santos, we have the likes of Lavia, hopefully staying fit. I've said many, many times on this channel, when you look at our central midfield band of players, you got Caicedo, Enzo, Lavia, Santos, and Asugo. Those 5, unbelievable on paper. Now, Asugo was an injury with a surgery, so yes, it's going to be a long time out, unfortunately for him. Lavia can't keep fit. Caicedo, Enzo, and Santos are, normally fit, ready, and available. Enzo's been playing with injury. We've obviously covered that in, I think it was yesterday's video. So hopefully that can be sorted as well, because he's playing a lot of minutes. And Santos is more that like for Enzo. But Santos can also be that like for Caicedo if needed. Again, Maresca has options in terms of Reece James, Ashimpong, Gusto, players that he can put in the 6, alongside Caicedo. But would you trust a Reece James, Enzo Fernandez double pivot? Maybe. There's a lot of variety there for sure, but they're not out and out double pivot players. Do Chelsea need to actually be thinking about this and going, Lavia cannot stay fit. We don't want to get rid of him for many reasons. 1, he's young and he's an unbelievable talent. 2, there is a lot of time for him to recover. 3, who is going to buy a very injured player? Logically, let's think about that. So you go, right, we're going to keep him and just kind of make sure that he is fit, ready, and available. He has a full recovery on his recovery journey, and we integrate him very, very slowly. But that's one player down. Asugo, he is injured for a long time. He does come back in January. Hopefully he can stay fit for the second half of the season, because that's when Caicedo could more than likely get his well-needed rest to be rotated right, because Asugo looks fantastic in the limited minutes we've seen him play, because he is it looks like a Caicedo regen, which is wild to say because Caicedo's so young himself. But that's basically your only option, unless you want to put Andre Santos in as cover for Enzo, in as cover for Caicedo more consistently. Do Chelsea go, we are a bit thin in that area in terms of reliable cover that can just stay fit, they're resilient, and they are just always available? Who knows? Who knows? That is a question I'm posing to you guys. Do you feel like Chelsea need to at least think about this question and go, is it something that we can monitor? Is it something that we can look at? Maybe not for January, but maybe for the summer. Maybe they put their eggs in their basket for Asugo being recovered and staying fit. Maybe it's they put their eggs in their basket with Enzo Maresca rotating the other options of Reece James, Ashimpong, Gusto in that holding role alongside someone like Andre Santos, Enzo Fernandez, etc. Maybe they do that because they can utilise the squad and they don't want to overspend in January. Who knows? But is this a genuine question I'm putting to you guys? I want to know your honest thoughts and opinions regarding all the injury update news regarding Lavia, regarding Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo playing so many minutes and being so good and needing that rest at some points in the season, and what Chelsea should be doing long term with the likes of Lavia being injured all the time, Asugo being injured for a long period. Do we go in and get some reliable cover, or will we be okay without any? Ben Jacobs has reported an interview from a player called Carl Ette-Enyong, I hope I pronounced that correctly, who has been scouted by Chelsea, Arsenal and United. He says, growing up, Chelsea was the English team I probably watched the most because of Drogba, and Eto'o was there for a year as well. Chelsea have often signed incredible African players. There are so many big clubs in England, but as for joining Chelsea, why not? It would be a dream for me to play for Chelsea. Now, for me, I don't know much about Carl Ette-Enyong. I had to do some research. He looks like a very, very promising player who's, I think he's 22, 23 years old. A little bit older in terms of Chelsea's project of signing prepubescent people and hoping they come good in 5 years. But still a good striker who's still developing his game, but a little bit more established of the likes of a Mark Guiu, for example. This, for me, sounds like a please come and sign me type of thing. Now, I could be reading into this a little bit. I don't know. But this excerpt from the interview very much sounds like, hey, look, I love Chelsea. I dream of playing at Chelsea. It'd be amazing. Please come get me, because I know that you are signing young players. I'm also a young African striker who's got some good stats. We're going to go over his stats in just a second for this season, because I was like, oh, wow, okay, cool. I've watched some highlights. He looks like a very, very powerful forward, something that Chelsea haven't had for many, many years. Obviously, he's still young. I know we've signed Amiga, who is obviously either joining in January or summer, depending on what Chelsea decide to do. We still have the likes of Mark Guiu. We've still got Liam Delap. So maybe we are covered for the striker position. But we are Chelsea Football Club, and you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. We will be selling players for the next couple of years because of these UEFA sanctions, and we'll need to make profit somewhere along the way. No doubt Chelsea will also recruit some players in certain areas, but nowhere near as heavily as it's been in the last few windows, or the last few years, etc. But For me, this sounds like he is like, just putting it out there that, Chelsea would be a dream. Please come and sign me. I am under the age profile of what you are looking for, and I would love to move to the Premier League. I mean, he is also right. We have signed some incredible African players over the years, which I think is why we have such an incredible fan base over a majority of Africa based on this. And I absolutely love that. And look, he's being scouted by Arsenal, Chelsea and United. So he's obviously on Chelsea's radar, but maybe he's just making his affinity and kind of saying, hey, if you come out and reach out for me, I would pick you over the other two. At the same time, I don't think he's going to be that fussed if someone in the Premier League like an Arsenal, United or Chelsea are coming in. He's probably going to sign for any of them. But he has an affiliate with Chelsea in terms of who he's grown up with. But let's take a look at his stats. So in the La Liga this season, out of 12 possible games, he's made 12 appearances, scored 6 goals and got 3 assists. So he's been in the starting 11 100% of the time. He's played 91% of all minutes possible and 43% of goal participation. He has picked up 2 yellows, which is fair enough. It happens. Striker challenges is what they call it. But that is an incredible turnaround in 12 appearances for a player of that young. That's really, really good start to the season. That is a player who is prolific. That's 1 goal every 2 games. And he's also getting assists in and amongst that too. That's insane. I love that. And obviously, we are peppered with statistics all the time when it comes to Messi, Ronaldo, and Haaland having more goals than games, etc. That just isn't normal, and we know that, right? That isn't normal. But for a young player in La Liga, out of 12 games, I think he's playing for Levante at the moment. Look, 50% ratio on goals to games, but 1 every other game. That's a really good standard. If he can keep that up across the season, I can definitely see Chelsea hovering around going, hang on a minute. This is someone who is prolific but can also link up play and get some assists as well. Because you think about it, it's 9 goal contributions in 12 games. That's nothing to be sniffed at. When you look at our strikers right now, Delap has been injured for a long time, admittedly. He's come back. He's still rusty. Mark Guiu, he's getting limited minutes, so he's getting his opportunities. He's playing well. But we haven't got a striker. João Pedro is playing majority of the minutes in a 10 and as a 9. We've got no one in that 9 position putting up numbers like this. Could you imagine adding numbers like this to a Chelsea team like we have, with the chance creation that we have, and then you add the likes of Cole Palmer, Esteval plays more in terms of the creativity that we can cause, João Pedro being more deeper rather than the 9 and expected to do all the work there as well. This would completely transform Chelsea in terms of goal scoring, breaking down low blocks and being able to capitalise on opportunities that are coming our way. Not to say that he is the answer, but it's just to kind of look at these stats and go, hang on a minute, that can't go under the radar, surely. He is being scouted by Arsenal, United and Chelsea, and I can now see why. Because 12 games is what? Give or take a third of the season. So you're getting a nicer picture. Obviously, it's not a full season, but you're getting a little bit of a picture of if he continues to do this, he's going to be wanted by a lot of European clubs. And the fact that he's on our radar already and he's making interviews like this saying, hey, it'd be a dream to play for Chelsea, we could potentially see something established here. But I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding this player. Do you know much about him? Have you seen much about him? Have you got to go do your research? What are your thoughts on his statistics this season in La Liga? Would you think that Chelsea need to actually sign a number 9? Would you still want to go for, someone with experience and pedigree? Or would you take on a player like this who is showing a lot of promise, who is a very powerful profile and is actually outperforming our current striker situation? Or do Chelsea just not bother with a striker because you have the likes of Amiga coming in either January or I was going to say Sunday, with Amiga coming either January or the summer? Or do you put all your hope into Mark Guiu and Delap and hoping that they hit a run of form and they can bag some goals between them, get some good GA, and then kind of see what happens with João Pedro playing in that 10 and that 9 with Cole Palmer coming back? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Court Offside have reported that Chelsea have formally approached Como to explore the availability of Nico Paz, acknowledging his rapid rise and the expectation that his market value could soar to around €100 million in the near future. The 21-year-old, a former Real Madrid academy talent, has emerged as one of Europe's most promising young playmakers, contributing 4 goals and 4 assists for Cesc Fabregas' side this season. Now, this is where things get very, very interesting. A lot of you guys in the comments for a long, long time have been saying Chelsea should go for Nico Paz, Chelsea should go for Nico Paz. We've reacted to stories like this before, and I will preface this by saying it's caught offside, so it's usually pretty much on the money, but sometimes it can be a little bit off in terms of the nitty-gritty. But hey, we're not going to, pull hair and talk about semantics right now. This is just something to talk about and have a conversation about, because I tell you what, Nico Paz is a fantastic talent, and all I've been seeing recently is the goals, is the assists, is his performances, Cesc Fabregas's tactical masterclass and how he sets Como up and how they're confusing a lot of opposition, and Nico Paz being at the heart of that, creating and scoring. Not only that, I keep getting fed training videos of him absolutely annihilating his teammates and doing some unbelievable things. And I know they're training clips, but I look at him and go, this kid has so much talent, it's unbelievable. Now, Chelsea formally approaching Como means that we are serious about this. Whether or not we were willing to spend up to 100 million euros, I think that's why we're trying to get in early, to try and get it as low as possible and go, look, realistically, what's his release clause? This is what we're willing to pay you. What are you happy with taking for him? He would be an incredible addition to this Chelsea team. He is a frighteningly good, talented, technical player that can unlock low blocks, that can unlock doors, that can create and can score as well. Now, I know I said earlier in the video that we are stacked in that midfield area, but having a player like him would be unbelievable because, like I also said earlier, Chelsea will be offloading players for the next 3 years at least. We know that we have a revolving door system where we've been pretty crazy and heavy on the outgoings and incomings. This window just gone in the summer, heavy on the outgoings because we had to shift a lot of players. It's going to slow down a lot, of course, but we still have those UEFA regulations and sanctions over our heads for the next 3 years. Chelsea are going to be very aware of this. Chelsea are going to be needed to make profit. Chelsea are also going to be needed to buying and sell players. They're going to continuously do this. This is part of their model. He ticks so many boxes for an Enzo Maresca player, the age profile the club want, being part of the project long term, being a young emerging talent who is doing it for Como consistently this season, thriving under Cesc Fabregas, and also quick shout out to Cesc Fabregas, absolutely turning things around and just transforming coaching and tactics over with Como at the moment. One of the most exciting teams to be playing in Europe right now, and most exciting team to be watching. They're doing bits, and I'm very excited to see how the rest of the season goes for them in that sense. But Nico Paz is a player that I feel whoever picks him up has got an absolute gem. Unbelievable talent. So Chelsea formally approaching them to explore the availability pretty much tells me that they're going to say, look, let's do something quick. We ain't got to worry about the rest of the clubs. Don't worry about that. No, shh. We'll take him. It's fine. Just lay me a price. But then the other side of it is I go, who does he knock out of the squad? Now, this could be someone that we line up for when the likes of Buonanotte goes back off of his loan. I like Buonanotte, and I wouldn't mind if Chelsea signed a player like Buonanotte. I really wouldn't. I actually really like him. He's very technical. And I feel like the more minutes he gets, the better he gets. And he's a great rotation player for someone like Cole Palmer. You bring in someone like Nico Paz, again, he's someone for the future, which is wild to say because we have such a young squad, and they're all still ones for the future. But think of the dynamism you can have in that team when we like to play 2-10s. You can have someone like Nico Paz in there who can kind of play anywhere across that attacking line, can unlock defences, playing with the likes of Palmer, playing with the likes of Esteval, playing with the likes of Garnacho, Gittins and Neto, whoever the 9 is going to be, whether it's Guiu, whether it's going to be Delap, João Pedro, whether it's Amigo, whether he comes earlier or later. I genuinely think that this would be an incredible signing, personally. So I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Chelsea's pursuit of Nico Paz now that Chelsea have formally approached Como to explore the availability. Do you think this makes a lot of sense? Have you seen a lot of Nico Paz? Do you rate him? Do you think it doesn't make sense for Chelsea to be picking him up? Or how would you play him? How would you put him in our setup with our current players if everyone was fit, ready and available? I'd love to see what people think down below in the comments. And that's the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.